Hi, everyone, and welcome to the How to Become a Writer event. Here we have some lovely authors to join me on stage who have their books there on the table. And we have two panels today. The first is about writing, and the second is more about reading. So, to start off, we're just going to have the authors quickly introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tuuli Tolmo. I have two books here tonight with me. One is dark fantasy novella, a short one. So you're gonna read it with 2 hours, I guarantee it. And the second one is first one in the series, Elaborate Unbound. But I think we'll talk about it a bit later, right? Hello, everyone. My name is Rein Pelotus. I write dystopian, dark thrillers. And yeah, I have one book also vi har sålt but I've also read it.
So, I am MC Class. I write spy romance. So basically, Mission Impossible with spice. Yes, I think everybody knows what spice is.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Stefan Lindon. I write different things, some published in English, in Spanish, in Estonian. And today I'm gonna focus on a book about Mexico and Estonian. It's called The Journey from Mexico to Seattle.
Okay, great. And sorry, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Maddie. I'm the founder of Writing in Talon. If you hadn't heard of it, it's a writing group that's been operating in Talon for over 3 years now. We have meetings twice a week, usually Monday evenings and Friday mornings here at Ashley at Kiosk 3. And we would love for you to join if you haven't already. Okay, so to kick off the chat, MC, I was reading in your bio that your love for storytelling began at age 14. And as we all know, the teenage years are quite formative. They're full of hormones and angst, perhaps of drama. And maybe you all can tell us a bit about how the intense teenage period might have informed or influenced your creative trajectories.
I can start actually. My teenage years. So I was definitely a white one. So I was a conductor and he's a Meti heads. So I had like, this mohawk. Yeah, I had blue mohawk and stuff like that. So I was a total white one. And I used to write poetry back then. I really loved poetry because I could, but very dark themes in there. So it's still like if I'd read it right now, it's very, very dark. And I guess that this really how to say it formed the path for dark romance, which I write now. And yeah, so teenage years are definitely a starter. So it's like you need to put your whiteness somewhere. So it's better to put it into works than something wild that ends up in the police station.
I agree with you that the first years, especially teenagehood, is when you start to really discover the world and to understand what are your dreams, and you have all this time ahead of you. And in my case, I was a bit shy when I was young, and for me, I found like a refuge in the in literature. I remember at home we had a huge library, like really it was even bigger than the high school where I was studying. So I had this game. Sometimes I played like the teacher at school said like, okay, now you're gonna read this book, and I played like, let's see if I have it at home. All of this of the books that they always tell at school that we have to read. I had it at home. So and my parents were very restrictive, like very strict with me, and I was not like those other children or youngsters that were out all the time. It is I didn't have permission to do that, so all I had was like, well, what can I do? What can I do? So in a way, it was like naturally forced to me, and I think definitely influenced my love for literature. It was like my world and the place where to turn to when I felt sad, when I felt happy, and that also brought me to writing.
Yeah. What can I say? As a teenager, I was very, very beaten and an boy or girl. But I wasn't much writing as a teenager. I was rather a very avid reader. So I remember I disappeared for 2 or 3 days, like we had a summer house, totally alone in the middle of the forest, and I was just reading. And we had also like a huge library at home. And it ran out at some point, so I had a medical edition and stuff like that. So I read them also every go. But yeah, how does it affect? I think experience. That's the main thing, experience. Yeah. Maybe also, but I just discovered writing when I turned 40. Suddenly, there it was. I also read a lot and ran out of books at some point. I had a really specific taste in fantasy. And there were a lot fantasy writers in Estonia at that time. Sci-fi was more prevalent, I think. And translations had also, there was something, but not quite that. So at one point, I switched to English and started reading fully in English. But I did start write in Estonian first, and I think my first short stories were when I was 12, I think, some of them. And then I discovered fanfiction. Like, that's the gateway drug for most of us, I think. And at that point forwards, we created a writing forum for us Estonians for that short. It was not started by Wattpad, but the Wattpad wasn't a thing at the time, so we made it for Estonian Wattpad. So, and I wrote and wrote and wrote until I just my craft became better.
Great. You were mentioning that you just came to writing kind of in your 40s. And often in the writing group that I run, there are people who come very regularly and have a very extensive writing practice, but they don't want to claim the identity as a writer. And actually, when I was naming the group, I didn't name it Writer i Berlin, as I understood that people don't want to say they're a writer, but they write a lot. And so I was wondering, when did you all kind of start writing and then make this transition to say, I am the writer? Because this is quite a kind of confident thing to claim.
So I've been writing since I was 12, and I made the decision I'm a writer when I published my first book, which was at the age of 36. So it took me 24 years before I really believed it. Oh yes, I am a writer. It's like, yeah, that's it. But it took me 24 years to get over myself. So I guess that this is where all of that stopped as well. So
Yeah, it's a very interesting question, perhaps even philosophical, because if I think when did I think I'm a writer? I remember it was not when I published my first or my second book. I thought when I see one of my books in a secondhand shop or in many, that would be better, then I'm a writer. Because me as a reader, if I mean, let's be honest, books are super expensive these days. So I read so much, and I read so much also in the past that it was impossible for me just to buy any books. So I found these little bookstores where I found secondhand books. And for me, even it had more value because, you open the book and then there's a note from somebody, I don't know, underlying something. And then it kind of creates already a story on himself. And I appreciated these books even more. So for me, it was like when I find my book in one of these stores, I know somebody has read it, or at least try to. Or maybe they didn't like it and they just throw it away. But I don't know. For me, it felt like this is when I know I'm gonna be a writer. So yeah, then it happened. I found my books in some secondhand bookstores, and I was really really happy. But when I started writing, I think since very young, maybe not like just in a natural way, but at school, I remember in high school we had this term exams and term works like you have to read this book and do a summary or do an essay or write an essay on this and that. Nobody wanted to do that, so I charged money to my friends and classmates. So I was printing all the time, and I had my like procedures, like my levels. Do you want? When in Mexico we have the notes are from 0 to 10, so I never did a work a job for 10. That was I kept those for me. So if somebody wanted an 8, is this price. If you want a 9, this price. If it's 7, if the professor kicks it back, okay, I guarantee you I get and this is how I got money for years. So I really don't know when I can say I started writing, but if that counts, I think that's it.
Yeah, I hated school talks, so writing essays, not coding. I could say everything in 3 sentences, you know. But as I said, at 40, I discovered some moment about reading the book on bestseller, and I thought that I can do this, you know. And then when I was traveling back in the end to Ghana a lot, and my best friend said that you could write her travel book, you know. So I studied, and I started like 5,000 words, 6,000 like in a row, you know. And she read it and said, keep going, keep going. And if all that, blah, blah. So I didn't announce myself as a writer then, but it took me 3 months to write all the 400 pages. And then I sent to the publisher me. And it came back like 4 or 5 days later, and they said, yes, we'll publish it. Fine. So I got it published, and then I had the review in, in this Estonian HCMR, and then it was positive. And among the others, it said that too bad it wasn't part of this competition. But by that time, I had our next book ready, and I sent it to a competition. And surprised, it was tied first and second place. So yeah, I'm left by it. I thought Anna Orita. Speaking of competitions, my first book was published also during the competition. Then I have a publisher run it. But even then, I didn't feel comfortable to call myself a writer to other people, even when I got the third place in the competition. So it took time, and probably writing and organizing NaNoWriMo arty groups helped a bit, because I had to motivate other people. Keep writing, you're a writer. Keep writing. Just if you write, you're a writer. And this meant stick to me, to myself, and I started believing more in myself that yeah, I'm also a writer. Why do I tell other people that I don't believe in myself? So it took some work because the label writer seems like really prestigious. You don't want it just to throw around. That's some kind of have prestige bit, I think.
Sure, and I think part of the reason that there is prestige with it is because writing is hard. And I am more than familiar with this feeling of malaise you have when you have multiple unfinished drafts and projects and you never kind of complete anything, but all 4 of you have complete books and manuscripts. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about your ideation process. You come to an idea, from an external inspiration, or the ideas come to you in your dreams, or where you start?
I get the ideas for very random places and for very random conversations. Uh, Whatever thing or conversation can be, so just spark the idea. I call it kind of like a big bang in my mind, because when I get to the idea, it like instant clicks and the whole universe expands with the characters, with the backstories, with the history, the world, everything. There have it been very different kinds of situations where I have gotten my ideas. This one, the library of Unbound, literally came to me in the library when I was writing a short story. I just looked around, saw some books, and thought, what if books are flying, but not like the, whimsy comparative way, but they're dangerous and someone has to subdue and tame them. And then there was that click, and everything just fell into the right place.
Yeah, me also. It's everywhere. You will drive to work and you notice some little detail, and that creates a whole movie running in my head, And usually I don't know how it ends and where it goes. So I'm starting plotting like in the middle of a book, because then I start thinking what I have to do writing so far. But at the beginning, everything runs, the characters, they have their own vibes. And yeah, everywhere, everywhere. Little article, maybe some sentence in the movie or something creates different pop turtle.
Yes, so I have described my writing, how to say, process. I write like a honey badger on snake venom. So it's like it's insanity. I just sit down and I feel this urge that I need to write. I sit down and I start to write. I also like let it. I don't have any idea where it's going. I might have an idea, so I sit down. So my characters are starting to do this, and then suddenly they are somewhere else doing something else, going absolutely bonkers to everything else, and I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Like, I can't go to sleep now because you were supposed to go for, I don't know, somewhere, and now you're there. What is wrong with you characters? What are you doing in my head? So they are someone like there was this very famous writer who said that those very amazing words, that writers are the only ones who get away with having multiple voices in their heads, and they're just called writers, not insane. So
I was thinking, well, I was listening to them. How would I answer to this? Perhaps I need to go even back. Like, why do we even write? To be able to answer that. And I think, at least in my case, well, because life is nicer when we write about it, when we eat the different styles or metaphors or whatever. Life is nicer. Life is more beautiful when we write. And by writing, we put shape to our thoughts. And that's great. You discover a lot of things by writing. And that itself is a sort of inspiration for what goes next and so on. And I think, well, at least in my case, I don't stick to one genre. I mean, I have novels, memoir, short story. Short story is my favorite genre. So if for that, I don't know. I like to. Something very interesting is happening right now, and I talk a lot about Latin America, Mexico, because that's where I'm from, and Estonia. I think both our regions and countries, we have been very bad at telling the truth in the past, because it has been very dangerous to tell the truth. So in literature, it's a very good platform to especially now with these genres of self-fiction and even in fiction or in sci-fi, you still like putting some situation that might be mirroring something, even though you're talking about some Galaxy X34, but only the writer knows actually what are they talking about. Well, as it is well known, this like motto of like let's kill the author, right? Doesn't matter what the author wanted. What matters is what the reader is creating in its head, in his head. So yeah, sources. And coming back to this idea about we have been very bad at telling the truth in the past because it was very dangerous. But now we can do it, and there is so much unsaid, so much unwritten, so much to still be told. And I think that's stories can come from anything. Going to the supermarket, something that happened to me, something that I saw that happened. So this is the magic, I think.
Great. Yeah. This is also making me think about how important it can be as writers to build an audience and feel like you're writing for people or for it to be read. And I know that many of you also are quite active on TikTok and Instagram. You have social media presences. And how important do you feel this is? Do you feel like it's also part of your process, like you're connecting with your readers and there's kind of this like reactionary writing that's happening? Or do you feel like it's more of an afterthought to your process? You just post something out to you and finish the book to more market it?
Well, I started my TikTok account after I published my book. I was the swore TikTok hater before that. I was sure I will never do account there. It just felt so sketchy place. But then I realized when I want to market my book, to people find my book, I have to be more open and talk about it, find ways to bring it to people. So TikTok is actually a pretty good tool for that. Surprisingly good. And it has been a very interesting journey. Very different from my Estonian books experiences because I don't market my Estonian books like that, like I've done by English books. It's just not effective enough. Estonians don't want day after day after day just the same contents. They can afford it. But with TikTok, with English content, I know I get different people all the time. So it doesn't bother them. It's not exhausting for them, and I can just do what I want without fear or feeling a bit cringe.
Yeah, what else can I add? It is, I started my TikTok account also like last year, a little bit before I published. But for me, it was a huge source to find information because, as Tui said, that in Estonia and publishing companies, you don't read it as a tab so hard. But Amazon is a wide place and world is huge. So you have to be exposed and you have to advertise.
Yeah, definitely. The journey has been very interesting. I had at some point I took it very knowledgeably. So I had 3 TikTok accounts. I had 2 separate phones. I had I burned out with 365 days. I counted. So 365 days from the day I started until I decided that I can't do this anymore. It's not really working. So yeah, I tried. I tried a lot. I tried everything. I tried every trend. I tried every single day in TikTok. And it was an interesting, I learned so much. I learned like so much over that year. I will never get those hours back, but I also would say that it was a TikTok academy. So I know now what to do, what not to do, in order to get what I want out of there. So if I want one part, like if I want reviews, I know what to do. If I want people to read my book, there's another thing to do. If I really want to build a community and talk with people, there's a third thing to do. So yeah, with the community stuff, you have to be genuine. You have to follow people. You have to really listen to their videos. You have to engage like a real person, and that takes a lot of time. It takes not even to get your follower out is that also takes a lot of time. So yeah, and Instagram as well. So Instagram is another wild party. Like TikTok and Instagram are very different, and people want different days on there. And yeah, I haven't done Facebook that well the other I have done Facebook as well, but I've not looked yet dipped my toe into that.
I think I have failed tremendously at the social media, and like really, I'm very old school in that sense. So yeah, I have Facebook and Instagram, but quite frankly, yeah, I post things in the mostly about literature, but I really don't manage it at all professionally. And many people has told me, "Oh, you should get on it." No, I don't know. For me, other channels have worked better. Let's say I have done it the hard way. Like for example, if I manage to get it published by a big publisher, I think that then they do it. Yeah, this has also other downsides, but if I can and well somehow I've managed some books that way, then I mean maybe if they get me, I don't know, one little interview, I don't know, radio and TV, then I don't need to do any social media. And of course it's harder, but if you get one, then that's all you need. So other thing that actually we have thought, because actually this is the reason why I have this book in English. I wrote it originally in English because I thought, how will I publish it in Estonia? It has to be in Estonian. So my husband speaks Estonian because he's Estonian and speaks English. So in those years when I wrote it, now I'm better at my Estonian, but not at the level of writing. I wrote the book in English and then he translated it in Estonian. Then we sent it to a publisher. I know it was different. Sorry. I sent it to the publisher in English and then they told me, we want it, but in Estonian. And then I was like, oh man, what are the... My husband, the translator, it took him 2 years because he was just helping me. And it turned out he's good at it, and now he's translating more things and stuff. But it got published. So this is hard. This is harder, of course. Now they publish it in Estonian, and I got the manuscript. I had it already. So then I came with this idea with my husband. Let's open a publisher and let's continue publishing books in English. And this is how the journey from Mexico to Setoma came across. But yeah, I would say like I wish I would be good at the social media and I would have all that knowledge to be better at and to connect more, because the old school way, it's just too hard.
Yeah, well, we can't all be good at everything. But I think that oftentimes when I am meeting folks who are interested in writing and publishing, they are all kind of sharing these quick tips and they want seal advice. How can I push my writing to the next level? Or what's the best way to get published? And I have often found that it's been really inspirational to learn about famous writers' writing routines. Like you read that some of them can only write in the very early hours of the morning between 2 and 4 a.m. Or some of them can only write if they have had 3 coffees or something like that. And maybe you can share also your routine or any specific idiosyncrasy you have about your writing process.
Yeah, well, my writing purely answer my kids when are they asleep. It's usually in the lunchtime or after the bedtime. So I'm by that. I don't have the privilege to choose when I write, or if I have this really, really good idea, I just can't open the laptop and start writing because they come and want to write themselves. So I write when they sleep, and I really love to write in silence because I had a lot of chaos in the day with them. I used to love writing in cafes
damn dance was very inspiring. But now silence.
Yeah, silence is one factor, but I usually write on my weekends or early hours before I go to work. But at some point, I was writing night times. So basically, I went to bed and then light on. Very idea, okay, I have to write it down. So Eddie writing, light off, to sleep again, and then again, light on. I need to wait on. So yeah, whenever idea comes, and lately I'm using a lot recording. Even in my car or somewhere driving to work or something, I record it. So later I write it down, because like it's so fast. Otherwise you forget it.
I had actually very similar to both of you. So I also have a kid, so I don't have free writing time. So I do it also during the nights when the kid has gone to sleep. So I write usually 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning, and then I'm dead in the morning. It's also okay. But I used to I also use this recording thing. So if I get an idea, I don't have time to actually write it down. I use this audio whatever app I have. I record it, and then later on I play it back and then write it down. And sometimes even that actually helps quite a bit to even evolve the ideas. So sometimes I don't even listen to them, but when I record them with an intention, I have that in my mind later, and then I can process it, and then I can even like make it bigger or better. So yeah, definitely fast road, record it. This is a good one. And write whenever it comes to you, whenever you have time. If also if you don't have like specific, like if you have a specific time, then you can train your body to turn on. At least all the famous writers are telling that if you train your body, like you know that you have Saturday mornings 4 hours, and you have that time for writing. At first, maybe few first Saturdays you don't have that. Like it's not working. But I think that it will take you like 3-4 Saturdays, and then you will get it. You would just have to, prompt it, use writing exercises for that, and then your brain starts to already recognize the time, and then you can just go from there as well. So I think that this is what famous writers are telling. I've never been able to do that myself, but famous people are telling that.
Everybody mentioned one factor that I also agree on is the silence. I mean, ideas, yes, I can write in a buffet, but that's different. It's not like a listing, like a story about a man who fell down and then he met a woman. Then this is my idea. But these are, as I said, I'm old school. I write in notebooks. So I carry notebooks. And actually, all of my short stories, first I wrote them on a notebook, and then I wrote them in the computer. If I'm at home, thanks, I don't have children, but I work I'm data scientist. It's very hard to live just from literature. I think I heard an interview with Andros Kivirak, and the interviewer was like, "How is life as a writer? How he implied like some economic term. I don't remember like how is it?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know, because I don't live only for writing. I do theater. I write in the magazines. I direct this. I do lots of things. So yeah, I'm a poor writer, so I also work in something else. So when I have times in between, I write. So, but yeah, silence, I would say, is the most important factor. Some people gather to write, but I can't. I have tried. I don't know if there's perhaps a hack to reach, but I can't.